How's everything going with you? I had read a report online that you might have sustained some kind of a knee injury recently. Uh,
Oh, everything's fine. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so I had a few questions. Okay, so when I interviewed you in India, I actually saw you transform into the demon assassin. So you already had the getup on, but you just got into the zone somehow and you became a completely new person. Yeah, can you tell me about this
Yeah,
transformation?
do you wish to speak to her?
I mean, I could, but like this would be a great, different experience, so to speak.
And we can keep her in the bottle for now. How about that?
Perfect. That sounds like a plan. So, how do you channel this side of yours, this darker side of yours?
uh, a lot of concentration, a lot of discipline. I was a theater student before I was a wrestler, so like I took 6 years of theater in university. Um, so it's a lot of getting to know who you are and who Rosemary is and allowing her to channel through me. Not so much thinking what she would think, just very organically allowing her to think and act as she would.
Okay, cool. So I was reading your Wikipedia and it says that you were PJ Tyler for a while, which was named after your love of Aerosmith. So did Courtney Rush come from a love of Rush, for instance? Like just throwing it out there.
No, and that seems like the obvious answer being that I'm Canadian, but no, Rush was actually the George St. Pierre's nickname in UFC,
Okay,
which is where I took it from. Yeah.
very cool. And like I just had to
Yeah.
get some questions out of the way. So did the Red Wedding come from Game of Thrones?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, perfect.
It's meant to be very obvious. If you attend the Red Wedding, you're dead.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
Rosemary from
Yeah.
Rosemary's Baby?
Yes. When we were trying to name the demon, several names came to mind, and Rosemary was the one that stood out the most. So that's the one we went with.
Okay, cool. So who were some of the supernatural characters in wrestling that appealed to you? I mean, did you enjoy, say, Sting because of the face paint? Who was he an inspiration? Maybe the Undertaker, Kane, growing up.
I don't consider Sting to be supernatural, so much as just a vigilante, more like Batman. But
Okay.
definitely the Undertaker and Kane. I loved them both. Growing up, I was like just ate up their whole storyline, the whole like brother coming back for revenge that you thought was dead, and I was like, this is amazing. So I love them both so much. Great Muda, Great Kabuki. Obviously, where I draw a lot of the face paint and the Age of Mist inspiration from. Um, Muda is just so cool. You
Right.
know, like there's just nothing not cool about Great Muda. Um, he's so captivating, and he's just so good. Like just the little things that he does. So definitely very inspired by him.
Oh, cool. And do you also do different colors for the mist like he did?
Yes, um, differently, differently than the way Muda uses the mist. He's a lot more trained in it than I am, so his is obviously stronger and more powerful.
Okay.
Uh, Rosemary's mist is generated to gear specifically towards who it's going to be used on. So, like certain colors will be more effective against certain people, and that's how she generates her mist.
Very cool. So, okay, let me start from the beginning. How was your trip to India? Did you enjoy your experience in India?
India was very different. It was first of all like just getting used to just getting used to getting off the plane, for one thing, is that 100% the longest trip I've ever made, even considering going to Japan, because my flight to Japan was direct, whereas like India was like a stopover in England and then a second flight to India, so it was just a longer travel. So just getting oriented after that was very it was a struggle, and then it's so hot there, and it was very much like, whoa, okay, this is a different world. So getting used to that, I think was more difficult getting used to like the actual like surroundings. But once we were performing, the shows itself was amazing. The crowd was so much fun and so interactive, and but like I felt I got a great reaction off them, so it made it that much easier to perform in front of them.
So, what do you think makes the Rosemary character so over? You get the biggest reaction. I mean, even if you compare yourself to the guys, you get the biggest reaction on every single show. What has
No, thank you for noticing.
why do you think the Rosemary character? Yes, please go on.
There's a couple different reasons why, and I think one of them has to do with the fact that Rosemary has never tried to hide the fact that she's different, and has encouraged herself and other people to embrace being different, including Crazy Steve and Abyss when we did the story when I was transforming them. And Abyss, I thought it was a very iconic moment in our group where we convinced him to take off the mask, because even like other people called him a monster, and to me he was beautiful.
Right.
And I think that was like an iconic moment in the group, because it was like, it doesn't matter what other people think of you, you have to love you, and you have to accept you for who you are, and then you can achieve great things. And, you know, even though we were maybe like, you know, not necessarily on the side of good, not necessarily on the side of evil, we were just on the side of decay. And it was a moment of like, embrace who you are. And I think that moment spoke to a lot of people. And since then, even like my fans, who I call the Hive, I've seen so many of them interact on social media with each other, not even necessarily with me, but they've come together because of finding acceptance in my fan base. And perhaps not, you know, not all of them are like socially popular or accepted in like, you know, cool circles or anything like that, but they know that it's okay to be different in amongst this group. Does that make sense?
It does. So, I mean, you are sort of a role model for the outsider, the outlier of sorts, I'm guessing.
Yeah, like that it's okay to be different. I find a lot of kids are drawn towards what I do just because like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be anything that I'm not. I am kind of a weirdo. I wasn't popular in school, and I'm just okay with that. And I want other people to be okay with what they are too. And it's okay to be different, and it's okay to be unconventional. And yeah, like, just go with it. Just do you.
Very cool. Very cool. So, one question that some of our readers wanted you to answer is, why are you doing the half face paint thing these days?
The half face paint, Rosemary evolves with every story that she's in, for one thing. I've always called, like, this is to nature, and nature never stops evolving. Every single story, every single feud, every single chapter, as you might say, of Decay's story and then Rosemary's solo story, she's had a different look. She's had a different color. She's had a different style and a different way of facing her face. Now, when it changed to the half mask, the change came about when Taya showed up, I believe.
Okay.
And it was a moment of when it took away, and it changed to a crystal colored eye color, and the paint was taken away from the eyes. It was literally symbolic of my eyes are not covered anymore. I'm seeing clearly, and I see you all for what you are, and I'm coming for you.
Very cool. So, did that also coincide with you becoming a good guy from a heel?
I mean, you could say that. I wouldn't necessarily say Rosemary's good. I mean, Rosemary is out for Rosemary just because her her desires right now are kind of like more morally acceptable than her could be a baby face, but she's still always been out for herself. Her goals and her wants have never changed. She's always been what the shadow wants and the shadow demands, and she's an agent of darkness. I've never not proclaimed that.
Very cool.
We just happened to be on Allie's side.
So, I was really looking forward to your match against Taya at Bound for Glory. Were you bummed out when that did not happen?
Very much so, yes. But at the same time, I just believe the tensions between Rosemary and Taya have just been made stronger because they haven't got that battle yet. And trust me, the Taya Rosemary story isn't finished yet.
Cool. And will we see Taya return to Impact in the near future then?
I don't think there's any way to keep us apart.
Oh, cool. How difficult will it be to continue without Laurel in the division? I mean, you guys had quite the rivalry, like during the tournament to compete the new Knockouts champion. How difficult will her departure make things?
Laurel's an amazing character and an incredible friend of mine, and I know that she simply wants to go and expand and grow and become even more than what she's still very, very young in this business, and she has so much more to offer, and she's already this good at doing a character, which is like amazing, and I love her so much, and she's so talented. Wrestling is fluid. It never stops moving, and it's circular, and there's never an end. There's no reason that down the road Laurel might not return to the Impact Zone. It's just right now her part of the story is over, and she might show up in a chapter down the road. But I mean, it's wrestling. Never say never. It's definitely a loss not to have her as such a strong character in the division, but there are strong characters waiting to debut and waiting to come up as well, and we will fill that void as we always have with every departure, same as we did with Maria's departure, same as we did with Jade's departure, and we will keep doing so.
Cool. And what happened with Hanaya? I believe she's no longer with the company either, right?
Right, that's true. I don't know if I can comment on it.
Okay, no, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good enough, I suppose. So you have had a long relationship with Scott Demore. Do you see the company, I mean, going to the next level under his direction?
I really believe, like, this past, and I can tell anyone who's concerned about it, these past tapings, the ones we just did in January, were possibly the most positive feeling in the sense that it felt very fresh and it felt like we had a direction, which is, I can honestly say, the first time in a year. This new direction under Scott Demore and Don Callis, I really feel like, and I mean, I know Impact and TNA and whatever you want to call it throughout the years has constantly asked the fans, give us another chance. As personal feeling, I honestly believe that if you were going to give Impact another chance, now's the time. Because I felt the difference backstage in one taping block, and I think that there's really something there going forward, and I'm excited about it. So I hope that other people can feel excited about it as well.
So through thick and thin, what has made Rosemary stay with Impact like for such a long time? What has made you believe in the company?
I'm really, I look forward to the things I can accomplish. There's a lot more of Rosemary's story to tell, for one thing. And I look forward to telling those chapters, and I look forward to seeing what else in store for her. I have a lot of fun doing my character and seeing what Rosemary is going to do next, and learning about her and learning about myself in playing her. And I really love the amount of trust that creative has in me to bring this character to life. Because they really don't tell me what to say. They tell me what point needs to come across in the promo, but
Right.
they trust me to say it like I would. They don't give me any lines, and that kind of trust is huge in the fact that they know that I know my character best and how it will come across organically. Because like for real, like if you tried to like force the way Rosemary talks, it's just going to come across very fake.
So you script
When
your.
I'm out there,
Sorry.
what, sorry?
No, I was saying. Do you script all your own lines?
I would say 95%.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
enlightening. Very cool. And you
I
mentioned all.
definitely ask for advice and I ask for help, and if there's something that maybe I can't figure out how to say it, I never feel like I can't approach somebody in creative for suggestions. That's like the openness of between lines of communication, where it's like you can definitely ask for advice, but they do trust you enough to do it the way you would.
Cool. Okay, I had one question, and it's completely up to you whether you want to answer this or not. But did you ever think Jeff Jarrett would go into the WWE Hall of Fame?
Sure, no comment.
Okay, cool. And what do you hope to achieve in Impact Wrestling? You just mentioned you have a lot of plans.
Everything, yeah. Like, I've been there. Oh, I've been there for 2 years now,
Right.
and it's been a pretty crazy ride so far, and it's only been 2 years. Like, I'm like, okay, for real, like, what can we do next? Like what's still to come? Like, I'm excited to see, because there's still a lot more, and I think with the minds that we have there right now, not just Scott and Don, but like with Jimmy Jacobs there, like Jimmy is so good at like small things, like just little tweaks. Even like the last taping, he was like, try this, and I did, and I was like, oh my god, like why didn't I think of that? Like,
Cool.
and that kind of creative mind backstage is like, it's very exciting to have a fresh pair of eyes on the product, and you're like, oh, okay, what are we gonna pull off now?
Cool. And
And I
fine.
want to be a part of that.
Right. Right. Okay. And finally, okay, a message for your fans in India, maybe. Maybe in character
Welcome
this
to you
time.
all again. In camp. I'll see if we can find her. As our first trip to India was certainly inspiring, knowing that the Hive had reached that far, to those lengths. We always knew that the shadow had no boundaries, but it was lovely to see the Hivelings in India come out in full force, and we cannot wait to be in front of you all again.
Okay, and my final question, how important was JB in the 2 years that you were in Impact, and how much of a difference will his departure make?
He has like an incredibly interesting way of directing and producing, and he's just like obviously a major part of making what the Broken storyline, why it was special, in the way it was shot and the way it looked and the way it was presented.